Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Consulting Leaders Podcast, a place where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your own practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, John Degnan. Join me as we talk with the best consultants in their niche and another John Ziegler. Welcome, John.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you here. You're the CEO of Acclaro Growth Partners, help middle market investors reduce risk and accelerate deal timelines through rigorous market diligence. In this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to unpack how better data, clearer narratives, and early stage insight can directly impact valuation and deal velocity. John, tell us more about yourself.
I'm the CEO of Acclaro. Been here about 6 years. I'm a father of two. I have an autistic son. I grew up around entrepreneurs. Both sides of my family own small businesses, and ending up where I am today, helping small and middle market businesses get to their next phase of growth is sort of a natural progression for me as I've gotten older in my career.
Any experiences at the early age of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, most of my summers were spent either in a flower shop or a laundromat, helping grandma, grandpa with whatever needed to get done, delivering flowers, behind the counter, whatever it took. So understand the month-to-month rigor of small businesses. And today, even my wife she and her dad run a small.
John, I'm going to have to interrupt you for one moment. We have a third party that joined us. Stephen?
Yeah, hey John.
Hi, Stephen.
How are you?
I have you scheduled for 1 hour from right now.
Oh, that's not what I have. Sorry.
Will you still be available?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, we'll see you in 1 hour.
All right.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, no worries. Okay, that's never happened before.
Well,
Okay.
it's the first time for everything.
Sure. So if you don't mind, I'll pick it up about your early entrepreneurship aspects, and we'll edit from there.
Sure.
Okay. Any early entrepreneurial experiences?
Of course. I used to spend the summers helping my grandparents with their flower shops. Actually, both my grandmothers owned flower shops, and my grandparents at one point, owned a laundromat. So we used to spend time behind the counter delivering clothes, delivering flowers. That was just sort of a normal thing for me. But seeing how sometimes the struggles of getting month to month for a small business is eye-opening, and I still see it today. My wife and father-in-law have a scrapyard that they're running and growing. So I'm seeing it all the time.
Interesting. Any other early lessons?
I think the early lesson is don't get overwhelmed, by too much positive feedback, and don't get overwhelmed by too much negative feedback. Just keep grinding. As much as I'm not a Bill Belichick fan, I do love his concept of just keep blocking and tackling. Do your job. All the little things add up to big things, and that's a real big part of my upbringing, both from an entrepreneurial perspective and athletics background in my house.
Where are you from, John?
Originally from New York.
Whereabouts?
Smithtown, New York, Long Island.
My sister lived in Smithtown.
Okay.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Be a great lady.
Are you a Knicks fan?
I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Mets fan. Unfortunately, right now we're on a 12-game losing streak. Hopefully, we'll recover. And I'm a big Giants fan. So, living where I do in Arkansas, I'm a very, very small minority that has that affiliation.
Yeah, if you go to the bar, you're probably alone watching the sports, the Knicks and the Giants.
Yes, I am. I'm very much alone.
Tell us about your early experiences in consulting.
So when I went to grad school at Wake Forest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. I had experience in a very big law firm in New York City, considered law school at one point, and then ended up at grad school. And I knew I liked numbers, and I knew I liked solving problems, but didn't really know what avenues consulting could take me. And so I started off. I took a job with a small consulting firm called Next Move, and really got into the weeds of doing just about everything that firm did. I sold projects, I wrote proposals, I did a lot of qualitative and quantitative research, and all the pieces of it were really interesting to me and challenging, and I really liked the challenge of, can you find the answer if it's not readily apparent in front of you? So that was the part that helped me stick to it as long as I did. And we did a little bit of M&A work at the time, and then when I got recruited to Acclaro, it sort of inverted, where Acclaro does a little bit of non-M&A work and a lot of M&A work. The previous firm was a very little bit of M&A work and a lot of non-M&A work. So I feel like those experiences working for a real small consulting firm gave me the opportunity to see what everybody does and understand what the challenges are at every role we have at Acclaro now. So if somebody needs help on something, whether it's Jack Bragg, who's our quant director, working on something from a quant or survey perspective, whether it's someone with a proposal that needs help, whether it's someone with research that needs help, I've done all of it. So I can always jump in and help out and really understand and be empathetic to how hard some of those jobs can be at times.
How many people in your organization?
We have about 32 today, 32 team members. About half of those are W-2s, half of those are 1099s. And it gives us the ability to scale up, scale down as there's cyclicality in the market, or as there's need for more. Right now it's big energy and power and data centers. We've got several experts that know that real well. So we're going to bring those 1099s in for those engagements, and we're able to do that in a lot of the different verticals that we cover.
What specific problems are you helping your clients solve today?
Most of it is uncertainty. So you find a deal that you really, really like, you love the management team, you love the market, it's growing real fast, but I'm really uncertain about the channel. I'm uncertain about the stickiness of the product. I'm uncertain about the competitive landscape. We're helping them think through what those uncertainties are and helping them feel more comfortable about them. Is there a path to growth? Is there a path to turning something that's a little bit of a scary topic into something that you can turn into a strength for that business once you close it?
Who are your ideal clients today, and who typically holds the decision to bring you in on a deal?
That's a really good question. Our clients today, our ideal client today is a middle market private equity fund or a middle market investment bank. Typically investment banks, we have a lot of good relationships with them, and they suggest us to their clients. And from a middle market private equity fund perspective, we're helping them feel more comfortable about the deals they're looking at. We're also helping them with the path to growth for their portfolio. From a decision maker perspective, sometimes it varies from fund to fund, but typically it's either the managing director or the next in charge on that deal. A lot of times that ends up being a director or a VP who really is leading the charge on the final decision. But I would say about 60% of our clients are repeat clients. So most of the time it's, hey, call John or call Chris or call Jack over at Acclaro. They did the last deal we did on data center power energy, or they did the last deal we did on food packaging. And so in most cases it's just a quick email or a quick phone call. Hey, we got something, we think we're going to have it under LOI pretty soon. Get ready. Can we set up a call for a day or two from now? So
you mentioned referral. What do clients typically find you? How do they find you?
They'll find us a lot of times by referral. So a lot of our clients pick up the phone and they call a bank that they've worked with in a particular space. So let's say it's food packaging. I just used that example. They may call somebody like a Houlihan Lokey or a Piper Sandler or a TM Capital and say, hey, do you know anybody that has experience in food packaging or sealing equipment? And from that then they'll say, well, here's 3 or 4 names you could call. One of them would be us, and we get a phone call and do our normal. This is our experience. This is why we're here. This is why we're good at it. In other cases, we meet somebody at a ACG conference. We meet somebody at an industry conference. They have our card. We keep in touch with them, and when a deal comes around that's in a space that we know real well, they'll give us a call.
Okay. What do you think about podcasting as a marketing tool in the M&A and private equity space?
I think it's a good way to get your name out there for people to hear from you or from me about how we think about the space we're in. I think a lot of the podcasts that focus on how do you lead, how do you think about solving problems, how do you think about building your team, those are things that separate one company from another. Every one of our competitors has really smart people working for them. I think the difference is how do you go about solving problems and how you go about making sure everyone's doing it in a way that's efficient, professional, and innovative.
Okay, what else is a differentiator for you?
For us, it's got to be our research team. A lot of our competitors or peers will use a mix of expert networks and maybe a little bit of internal research team. Everybody in our research team has more experience doing research than I do doing consulting. They've all done it for a very long time. They're either market researchers for their career, or they've been operators at a Fortune 100 brand, or they've run a middle market private equity backed business. They're all really experienced. They're all really smart. They know what the next question should be, even if it's not written down for them. And they're the difference for us, because we're picking up the phone and talking to, say, a plant manager about what he's seeing every day. And we're able to do it anonymously. We're not paying for that person's time. We're having real conversations in the market that are timely, that are today, not from something somebody saw 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 2 years ago. Our research team really gets to what's happening right now.
With 32 members in your organization, you're still somewhat flexible and pliable enough that you can kind of roll up your sleeves and get dirty, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the terms I use a lot when we're talking to clients is flexibility. We're able, if you think of us as a speedboat versus a tanker, we're able to pivot as new information emerges. So typically when we write a proposal, we've got a fence around what we're going to try to do, what our objectives are, and we don't really deviate from those. But when we find new information, we share with our clients right away, and they say, that's interesting. We hadn't thought about that. Can you pursue that? The answer is always, of course. And that's a little bit of a pivot from what the original plan was. But we're always doing that. If we don't pivot, I start to get nervous that things are going exactly as they had been planned. In those cases, I worry that clients then think, well, maybe we didn't need to do diligence because everything is falling into place the way that we had anticipated it would from day zero.
So you wouldn't consider your strategies and processes institutionalized, would you?
I would consider them institutionalized, but they're flexible. Okay. So we build our framework for every project exactly the same. We use the same tools, we use the same process, but in those tools there's enough flexibility for our engagement directors, for our quant team, for our research team to make adjustments as we go, so that we're not losing time, we're not losing speed and efficiency, but we're gaining access to things that maybe we hadn't thought we were going to need access to when we first started.
You have complex, high-value engagements. How do you move from an initial conversation to actually winning that work?
It's a good question. In many cases, it's the team that we bring in to talk about what the project is. So a lot of the work we do, it's middle market, it's lower middle market, it's very niche-y businesses. It's not something that you walk down the street and pick somebody up and they're going to know exactly what that market is or what that business is. Mm-hmm. And so we have members of our team that can get on the phone with our clients and they can talk about what's actually happening today or what happened a year ago, and here's what we think is probably evolved in that market over the last year because of work we've done previously. So the ability to have those conversations prior to writing a proposal and show that we know what we're talking about, show that we know what questions they should be asking, helps us get get beyond the initial phase of just talking about what the deal is into really discussing how we're going to go about doing it.
How do you retain your clients over time?
We got to do a really good job. So I'll give a couple examples. We had a call yesterday. One of our clients who we hadn't heard from in about 6 months, and we were worried that they had gone somewhere else. They said, no, you guys are the only ones we call. We just have had a couple deals where we didn't really need to do diligence, but we'll tell you this. The last one you did, the EBITDA on that business has tripled in the first 6 months of owning the business.
Wow.
That's how we retain clients, and we've got lots of stories like that where if we did a good job and we make suggestions about how to grow a business, if the business isn't growing quickly, then there's something we didn't do right, or we didn't communicate it well enough that they understood that it was. That it's impactful, it was actionable, and it was going to make a difference.
Hence, great word of mouth.
That's right. I want everyone to be talking about how great we're doing, how humble we are, and how much we want to roll up our sleeves and just get down into it and help get to the answer.
Where do you find yourself most stuck right now as you continue to grow Acclaro Growth Partners?
I think one of the biggest issues we're running into, and I think everybody's running into it, is what to do with AI. It's a very powerful tool. It's one of those things I consider it garbage in, garbage out. If you can control the data that's going into the tools and you know that data is accurate, then it's going to do a great job for you. The problem is keeping out some of the, separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, in terms of what outside data are you pulling in. And
do you trust it?
Yes and no. It depends on how it's being used. So I'll give an example of where I don't trust it. About a year ago, we were putting together some series of blast emails to go out to our clients and prospects. And I was looking for a data point that talked about how many investment banks in the lower middle market and middle market propose market studies and how many of them actually get done. And so I couldn't find a data point. I was searching, and all of a sudden a data point emerged. It was 27% of lower middle market and middle market investment banks do a market study. And I thought, well, that's great. We're gonna include that in the email. But I did a little more digging because we always want to make sure we know where these sources are, and we want to make sure that we're using things that are credible. And after about 2 or 3 layers were removed, I found out that it was me. I was the source. I had done a poll on LinkedIn during COVID asking our network how often they do a market study. If I hadn't done that digging, I could have put something out there that was completely irrelevant, completely self-serving, and it would have been a catastrophic mistake. So in those cases where you don't know the source information you're using, or you accept source information as being credible, that's where it's really dangerous, and we do a lot of training internally to make sure our team is understanding where it's coming from, why it's credible, why it's not credible. And we also do a lot of work trying to make sure that we're creating tools internally that are pulling from things that we already know are credible, pulling from our own analysis, pulling from our own past studies, pulling from our own sources that we know are credible. That's the key. And when we're doing that, I think it's really powerful. When we're not doing that, it's scary.
If a client of yours was to give you accolades, typically, what would they say about Acclaro?
They would say that we're able to unearth things about insights and information that other people aren't able to unearth. We're able to find answers to things that a lot of other firms may not be able to find, at least not that are real-time, short-term relevant. And I hope that they would say that we're humble and smart.
Okay. Looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunity for market diligence and M&A decision support over the next few years?
I think there's going to be some emerging markets where there isn't existing, call it off-the-shelf information about those markets. There's going to be some new products that come as a byproduct of our need for information and data center growth. There's going to be some really interesting, power and energy models that come out that are going to hopefully augment the grid. And I think there's going to be some really interesting opportunities there from a buy side and sell side market study perspective.
Will Acclaro grow in size?
We're hoping to grow at least double or triple in size over the next 8 to 10 years.
Wow, ambitious.
We're ambitious. It's reasonable. A lot of it depends on what's happening in the M&A environment, what's happening outside of what we can control. But we've done a good job of growing even with the market being down the last couple of years. So I'm hoping a rising tide helps us a little bit.
Okay, and aside from being a Knicks and Giants and New York sports fan, any other personal information you could share with us to learn more about you?
One of the things about me that you'll find is I have an autistic son and 2 kids that are both epileptic. So I spend a lot of time with those causes from a nonprofit perspective, trying to help solve some of those problems in the local community and beyond.
Where do you live in Arkansas?
I live in Fort Smith. It's about an hour or so south of Walmart country.
Got you. Okay. Well, if people want to find out more about you, John, and see what you do, where should they go?
The easiest thing is to go to our website at www.acclaropartners.com. You can also find me at LinkedIn. My handle is the other JZ. That's another interesting piece about me. The other JZ and I share the same birthday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I worked with Jay-Z before. I was a consultant in the Bahamas, and I was running 2 radio stations. He approached me and he said, and this was a long time ago, this was in 1996, he said, I have a new album coming out, Reasonable Doubt, and I want to have an album listening party for it. Would you mind if we use one of your facilities? And we invited everybody down from New York to enjoy Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt turned out to be one of the greatest, I don't know how big you are in hip hop.
Well, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And he offered me a job in marketing, and I said, you know what? I'm really happy in the Bahamas. And I have to live with that to this day.
Well, at least you could say you've met him.
Yes.
I guess he and I are both December 4th babies, so sometimes that's an icebreaker for new prospects when we talk about that.
The other Jay-Z, all right. Very cool, very cool. All right, so we'll put all the links in the description. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.